physical when I'm lyrical. So bad it now with medical, something critical. It's gonna take a miracle. Bright lights with the spiritual, written down like biblical. I finally reached the pinnacle. Yeah. Welcome to the house, the one they talking about. Word of mouth, the boxing PlayHouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
Bienvenido a Boxing PlayHouse Latin America aquí con Danny Santiago. Tenemos un grupo de 5 aquí hoy. Tenemos el maestro Spanish Ray Sosa de Spanish Harlem. Tenemos a Taino Sosa de Las Vegas. Tenemos también el compañero semanal aquí con nosotros, Coach Lou Acevedo. Y el único, el man que de la hora aquí, el que está con nosotros, compitiendo con nosotros hoy, Daniel Álvarez de The Boxing Voice. Es un gran placer para tenerlo aquí. Voy a decirlo en inglés. Today we have, as usual, our Spanish Ray Sosa from Spanish Harlem. We got Taino Sosa from Las Vegas, Nevada, you know, doing this thing over there. We always have my man, my sidekick right here, Coach Lou. And we have the honor and privilege of having the Boxing Voice co-host, Boxing Aficionado. I mean, he does a little bit of everything, trains people, he interviews a whole bunch of stuff, and we're trying to get a little bit off of him. We got Mr. Daniel Alvarez. We'll call him Danny because my name is Danny, his name is Danny, so he can't be that bad, right? How you guys doing, man? How was your week, everyone?
What's up with everybody? Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So it's an honor for us, man.
What's going on?
How was your week, Ray? How's things been going, man? There's a lot of good fights going on. What's been up with you?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What kind of fights going on now?
Taino, in Vegas, you got to be in the thick things over there, man. I'm hearing some good stuff about you over there. What's been going on?
Man, everything. A little bit of everything, man. We're just working every day, you know, trying to get a date going, something solid, you know, just being around it, you know.
Okay. And Coach Lou, how's training fighters doing, man? What's going on over there with your Puerto Rico? Go Puerto Rico hat. What's up?
I'm just doing light work with the kids at the gym, you know. I had my son about to fight, but then he got into an accident with his bicycle and he ripped his skin and his fingers and nails. So he was supposed to fight at Planet Boxing, and it didn't pull through because he got injured. But other than that, we're still working.
Well, look, man, I'm gonna start setting it off. I'm gonna tell you some things that I've been going through. First and foremost, I got one of my kids a visa. Everyone knows I live in Colombia, and I'm not Colombian, but I'm married to my wife. She's Colombian. We moved here. We got some incredible talent here. I live in Santa Marta, Colombia. I got one of my kids named Luis Tenorio. He got his visa. We were supposed to be on the June 7th card, Alexander Castro and Luis Tenorio, but we got shifted. You know, there's bigger names and bigger fish to fry. So, but they're getting ready for things that are going on. I was looking for a week from the gentleman, Mr. We have an out. Somebody has an echo.
Yeah, you got an echo.
Can't hear you.
That is.
Yeah, Danny, bro.
Is somebody on PlayHouse on a separate phone?
Put your phone on mute, man.
Hello? Much better?
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
So we'll get him back on in a minute. But I've been looking forward to this whole week. You know, Mr. Alvarez, you know, the Boxing Voice. I think he's out of Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's a and he's in the end, man. He's out there training fighters, interviewing fighters, getting involved, and you know, I take my hat off to him. You know, before he gets back on, I want to talk about some of these fights coming up, man. We got a Florida boy, you know. We got Brandon Moore fighting Torres Jr. May 18th, Saturday, May 18th, and these are some big boys. These are some tough guys, you know. They're gonna be fighting in San Diego. You know, wait, we got Daniel back. How you doing, Daniel? All right?
Yeah, there we go. I couldn't hear you guys. The audio had went out.
All right, it's all good. You know that technical stuff. You a pro with this, right?
Man, I try, man. I try. Let me tell you. Sometimes I have to call my little brother for help.
Where you from originally, my brother?
Originally from Chicago, but I've been in Vegas 8 years almost.
What brought you to
So
Vegas?
work. I was in the military. Um, military brought me out here, and then
Thank you for your service, my brother. Thank you for your service.
appreciate that. And 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago, I got out the service. Decided to stay out here and just pursue the dream, right?
Yeah. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and I guess if you go to Vegas, you stay in Vegas too. Because Taino went out there and never came back.
Yeah, man, I came out here on vacation. I thought this is where I needed to be for my career. It's a great place. I feel like if you're involved in boxing, there's no better place to be. You know, you're just a needle in a haystack if you're anywhere else, in my opinion.
Okay, okay. Well, we got some good things over here in Colombia, so I won't say, America's a place to be, and Vegas is where it's happening, but the man of the hour, Mr. Alvarez here, the boxing voice, man, I want to hear more about it. So you went to Vegas about 8 years ago. You retired from the military. You served America. God bless you for that. Thank you for your service. And you decided to, like, about 2 years ago, you were telling a story. What you decided to do about 2 years ago?
Nah, so I've been in boxing since 2018 now. I would pretty much cover the fights, do all the fight week coverage, camp, go to the gyms, interview fighters, get behind the scenes footage. That's kind of where the name Ring Walk came. Just because for me it was like behind the scenes to in the ring, everything in between. So, I kind of took it on a more uh literal, or not as literal, as the ring walk, but just pretty much that journey into the ring, so I try to encompass and just get all the coverage. That started in 2018, and then continued to, man, 2022 is when I got out the military. First week of the year I got out the military, and I ain't looked back since.
What
I ain't
branch were
looked
you?
back
What
since.
branch did you serve in?
I was Air Force.
Ooh, whoa. All right, my
Ooh,
brother. Thank
that's
you.
a hard test. That's a hard
Yeah.
test. You
So
got to be super smart for that one.
yeah, he's a smart. He's a sharp too. He probably smarter than all of us on the show right now. You know what I mean? He get
Nah,
to the Air
nah,
Force.
nah, nah. I wouldn't say that, man. Everybody got knowledge, bro. I like to learn every day. I'm learning something new. So
Okay.
True that.
So yeah, so you from Chi-Town, born and raised in Chi-Town. Now you in Vegas.
now I'm in Vegas. Misspoke. About to be 9 years actually.
Okay.
So yeah, 9 years. Friday actually. Funny enough. So yeah, man, this a second home. This is my new home, I should say. It's my new home, but I still rep Chicago. I'm actually I'm in one of the studios right now. Uh I got some boxing pulled up, but I also got Chicago women's basketball playing right now. So I'm always supporting the city.
Mm,
I was supporting Vegas last night, so but yeah, man, I always had a passion for sports. Came out here 2015 to Vegas, and there was no sports. It was a different Vegas, even though it was only 9 years ago. The only thing you had was boxing and UFC. 2015, I had never seen UFC a day in my life. So, we came up on
mm,
boxing. You know, I would absolutely say I was more of a casual back then, but I start going to fights. I start working security to be at the fights. Picked up a
Wow.
security gig part time to be at the fights. And then after my first deployment to Afghanistan, that's when I decided to pursue something on the media side. Um, Funny enough, from one of the people I met just from attending fights, they made connected me with Ness from the Boxing Boys, who I'm working with now. He just so happened to be on vacation in Vegas the day I got back from Afghanistan. So we met up the very next day, and I would say ain't looked back since. I worked for another boxing company. Very appreciative of Michelle Joy Phelps at and behind the gloves. They have a very big UK and overseas following. So I
Okay.
took that opportunity, uh, 2021, right after my second deployment, and took that opportunity, worked that for a year, and then when I got out the military, I wanted to do something different, and and me and Ness were always on good terms, and an opportunity came about, and he calls me, but I didn't think nothing of it because I was under the impression the role had been filled. So I'm like, just my mans want to talk boxing, no problem, just like we're doing tonight, right? Uh, but that ended up, turning into an opportunity on the show on top of what I was doing. And we've kind of just been able to grow from that, both as a brand and just me individually, just branching out to do other things both within the sport and other sports as well.
So let me ask you this. It's kind of like it's like being a dead horse or whatever. It's like going over the same thing all the time. But you're in Vegas. You mentioned something about the UFC. You got involved in boxing on every kind of level, I guess per se, right? So what do you think about all this? I mean, I've asked every guest that's been on the show, and I'll let the guys come in whenever they want, especially Coach Lou and Ray. I want to get into some stuff that Taino's doing, but what do you think about this whole transition of? I'm not going to call this guy a YouTuber anymore because he's already been in this a couple of years already. He's already starting to master his craft and hone his skills, and he's surrounding himself with some people who know what they're doing. I mean, look, man, you
If
know,
I had a hat, if I had a hat, I would take it off right now for Jake Paul.
well, listen, you're echoing
I
my
got
words.
some back here for you.
You're
Nah,
echoing my words. You're echoing my
I
words
got.
because the reality of it is that he's first of all he's sharper than all of us because he saw something and we all wish we did it, right? So now he did it and he's got all these views, he's making all this money, he's got this bank. I mean, how can you hate that, man? That's the American dream all day, every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I mean, this dude is doing it. So when I say that to you, as a two-part question, how do you feel about the UFC fighters coming into boxing and so on and so on? And what was your first impression of the UFC? And then coincide with that, you just already answered, but I'm going to ask it again. How do you feel about the whole Paul family, bringing another set of eyes, another access to these seats and another pay-per-view to boxing?
Yeah, look, as far as the UFC fighters coming into the sport, I think that exposure for the sport is always great. The UFC is great at marketing, they're great at promoting. They have a very big, very loyal fan base. And quite frankly, I always love taking money from my UFC my UFC buddies that always think that their guy has a shot against our boxing guy. So that's always good, right? Um, I watch UFC. I've been watching UFC probably the last 8 years now. Started with Conor McGregor. Um, and I definitely consider myself more of a casual UFC guy. I watch the big fights. Uh, I think just because of the business and because of work, I can't really afford to watch as much as I used to. So, and that's everything, whether it be TV, whether it be other sports, I don't have the time as much. But I'll tune into the big fights. Um, Definitely something I want to cover, from a media aspect. Um, I love what Dana White is doing over there. I think he's running a great business. And as far as Jake Paul, I think he's created a lot of opportunities for people in the sport. People I know personally that have benefited from his doing. People that I just know because of the sport that have been given multi-fight contracts, fights making six figures because of the position Jake Paul put them in. Um, I personally have relationships with a good number of his team. Jalen Love has been with him from day one. That's a close friend of mine. Uh, he's actually relocated from Vegas down to Florida because of Jake being in Puerto Rico and whatnot. His strength and conditioning coach, Coach Larry Wade, someone I've known for nearly a decade and I have a very close relationship with. His nutritionist, James Lockwood, who I've known for years and, works with a lot of the top athletes in the sport. So, I know that he's putting in top level work. I know he's respecting the sport. He's doing his darnest to promote it. I was just at a show in Orlando last month where it was his show. Not a single fighter on the show was his fighter. Yet he took that PJ from Puerto Rico, came in to support, to promote, and just help the sport. Gave local talent and gave up and coming talent just within the sport an opportunity and a platform. So, I think that's great. Netflix, he has this Mike Tyson fight. It's like a wannabe pro fight. I'm not the biggest fan of it being professional. They're wearing heavier gloves, so it's like pro with an asterisk because they're not really following all the
And
pro
2 minute rounds.
and 2 minute rounds. I am glad that they are taking precautions. Do I believe it should count on the record? No, but uh, it's not my call. I am glad that they're taking precautions and measures to ensure some sort of fighter safety. Uh, you know, if I think if it would have been full out 10-ounce gloves, 3 minute rounds, the whole what have you. I don't know that I'd be as supportive of the event, but I don't know that people know the story. Netflix reached out to Jake Paul with a budget looking to put on an event. So obviously the biggest fight he could think of and probably make happen is Mike Tyson, right? Uh, that now has given opportunities for Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor to run it back, which is a phenomenal fight. That has now given an opportunity for Floyd Schofield and Ashton H2O Sills to run it. And I've been privy to their negotiations, and it got to the point that Netflix was like, "Whoa, chill out," and it's like I watch all sports. I understand that only two other sports have made it to Netflix on the live stream level. Today the NFL just announced that they'll be doing Netflix in December for the first time. So, it's part of growing the sport, part of evolving the sport. Jake Paul will now be, the third sporting event ever on Netflix on the streaming level. So I think it's great and he's bringing great things to the sport. Um, I want to see him. I want to see him continue to build and fight fighters and that are current and active. But from a business standpoint, I can't really blame him either. Like we're talking about things that we haven't seen before. I think his brother's a great entertainer as well. He's done great things, shit in boxing and even now in the WWE. So, I don't know them personally, either one of them, but just from what I've seen and from the after effect of his actions for the sport, I'm absolutely behind him.
Wow. Well, we all have a friend. I'm sure you met this individual, Hector Camacho Jr. He said, Ty Boogie, he giving you a shout out, Taino.
I seen it.
A mutual friend of ours. He's a great guy.
He
He's
was
got a fight coming up real quick.
I don't mean to cut you off. He was out here in camp with me. I was in camp with him actually. He was preparing for the Chavez fight out here, and it was just a blessing to be alongside of him getting ready for that fight, man. I can honestly say that he did put in the work out here when he was here around me, and just to see from another South southpaw perspective, I thought it was pretty cool. You know, there's not too many natural southpaws that I can say I've been around, but he's definitely one of them. So shouts out to him. Hopefully he can get back in the ring soon. I know he got something cooking up, but it will be cool to see him, you know, get back active.
Yeah, you know, when I had my fourth pro fight in Orlando, and he was the main event, and I was a co-main event, you know. And I talk to him quite often. I'm trying to put something together with my contacts because he got the name, he got the swag, and you know, he got the skills. You know, he's a really good dude. He's down to earth, and shout out to my man Hector Camacho Jr. Real quick, you were talking about my man Daniel, Danny. You were talking about the fight with Schofield and was it Sliv? Am I saying it correct?
I'm gonna be honest. I say it's Silv. Other people say it's live. So or Silv. So I don't really know. I don't want to fuck it up. I've interviewed him, but be honest, man, I interview so many people, I forget I'm terrible.
All right, it's all good, man. You know, I looked at it on paper. I wasn't too familiar with them. They have some pretty good records, and I think that's going to be a pretty competitive fight, man. Who you got in that fight?
Man, I'm not picking in that fight. Nah, I'm
Come
not
on, let's
picking.
go. Let's put your
Nah,
feet to the fire.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna say. There was some contract disputes and contract issues in the lead up to. So I honestly want to see what's been worked out. You know, I was privy to the physical offers and the contract and what they wanted revised and this and that. So I want to see what was worked out. Um, I plan to go to Long Beach to visit H2O in camp, and I actually, God willing, plan to make it down to Puerto Rico to go see Jake as well in camp for this one. So we'll see. It should be a good one though. Two young, exciting guys putting their O's on the line early in their career and cross promoting. You know, Schofield's a Golden Boy Oscar De La Hoya fighter, so you know that's great to see good business being done.
That's what it should be done. That's what, you know, that at the end of the day, it all amounts to money. And with the best fight the best. We shouldn't, you know, hold these guys captive from fighting each other because they're with another organization. I mean, it makes no sense. We want to see the best fight the best. You know, at the same token, I think that same day we have Navarrete fighting. Man, I don't want to butcher this guy's name, but Barechuk. Is that
Well,
what?
no, that's this Saturday. That's this Saturday. We got
Oh, my bad, my bad.
Navarrete.
Yeah, the 18th. My
Yeah,
bad. Yeah. What do
yeah.
you think about that fight? Who you got in that fight?
It's loaded day of fights. I'm actually looking forward to it because you know, this is what ends it, and this is gonna be a banger. You got the vacant lightweight title on the line, WBO title. Navarrete comes to bank. He's always exciting, but at the end of the day, he's not the natural lightweight. You know, in this situation, you got Baranchik. And for those that don't know, you know, Navarrete requested as a champion in the division below for this fight, and that's how he got it. You know, Baranchik is gonna come to fight, and you know he has a very tall task in front of him, literally and figuratively, because he's all of 5'7" Navarrete. Uh, you know they got him listed at 5'7" on Box Track. That's I'm calling cap on that one.
He's taller than that. I seen him. Yeah.
He's a big boy. He struggled to make weight in that Conceição fight. Um, so he's a big boy. You know, he started his career at 22. I expect him to pull it off. Lightweight division's pretty hot right now, so it should be a good one. You know, you got the co-main event. That's a really good one right there as well. Richard Torres and Brandon Glayton. Actually, no, I'm lying. That's not even the co-main. Giovanni Santillan. We could talk Torres Jr. and Brandon Moore. I know Brandon Moore and know him
Florida boy.
personally. And another fight, two undefeated guys early in their career, putting their O's on the line. This one should be an exciting one. I don't know that it steals the show. I think the one that's gonna steal the show is the co-main event of the evening, Giovanni Santillán and Brian Norman Jr. Brian Norman, signed to Top Rank off of sparring. Bud
Wow.
was in Atlanta, and rumor has it he had success in that sparring session. And there was so much talk because of how young he was, and oh, it's Bud Crawford. I don't know what really took place. I just know that they picked him up, and if I'm being quite honest, he hasn't lived up to the expectations. Leading up, he was sold to us as this puncher, this knockout artist, and we've seen everything but in his fights. I will say though, they haven't necessarily matched him the easiest. I mean, 2 fights ago, he fought Quentin Randall, who I know very well and may not have, the power, but god damn it, he's a tough fight for, a lot of guys. So I expect Santillan, if I'm being honest, to pull this off. I'm picking Santillan. He's a heavy favorite. He has some power. It's a hometown fight for him too, so I know he's looking to make a statement there.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm really excited. I mean, there's so many things to talk about, but I'm really excited about two shows. One that's coming up July 13th, Boots against Crawley. You know, every time I see this kid fight, man, Enos, I'm just, some people are hit and miss with him, but I think that his skills, his natural ability, his punching power is something to be admired. What are your thoughts on that fight? First and foremost, what are your thoughts on Enos and Crawley? And guys, chime in whenever you want. Don't let me take over the whole conversation. What do you think about that, Daniel? What do you think about that fight?
Yeah, it's a fight that has been in the works for a minute. Um, I think Boots is rightfully so the heavy favorite. Um, I think that what you see with Crowley is what you get. Um,
Tough kid.
Very tough kid, very tough. I don't expect it to be necessarily the easiest of fights, but I do believe that Jerron Ennis is a spectacular talent. I've been out to Philly. I've been in the dungeon. I've seen them work. I've seen them spar. They do the 4 minute rounds, the 30-second break. He spars up in weight. You know, very talented. I love what his father has done with him, and been able to do with him. So I think that hometown fights can have a lot of pressure, but I think this will be a fight where he shines and shows off his skill.
Hey guys, you want to chime in? What are your thoughts on Boots? Any subject y'all want to tap in on? Taino and Lou or
Yeah,
Paige
I'll go ahead and tap in on that. I definitely think that's a one-sided fight. I think Cody is just like tailor made for Jerron Ennis. I think he does have a motor to him. That kid does not stop punching. But I think he stands in front of you too long. And I think for someone who's as defensively sound and takes as much angles as Jerron Ennis, I just think he's gonna find openings, and the way he switches, man, he's a switch hitter. He's one of my top guys right now that I like to watch. I think that kid I think he sweeps the division outside of Terrence Crawford. If he were to stay in the division, I don't think there's anyone else in the division that would give that kid a problem. But we'll see. There's other guys I know that's in the division right now. And with him signing over to Matchroom, I know there's really nobody over there for him that could possibly give him a run for his money. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
Lou?
I'm going with Enos. Enos is like, fine wine, get better with time. And that kid, he's improved in every fight, and it's obvious. You see it in all his fights. But yeah, I'm giving it to him. The dude, the other kid, I don't know too much about him, but I know a lot about Boots, and I think he's just the next one to take it, man. He's gonna be a hot topic real soon, like more than what he is now.
You're out in Florida. What do you think about that kid Moore, man? Brendan Moore. What do you think about him?
I've seen him live. I went to his fight. Actually, I was in the fighter's corner the day I saw him fight.
Okay.
And
I don't
he's
mean
a patient fighter.
I don't mean to
He's a
cut you
patient
off.
fighter.
You see
Yeah.
the Caleb Plant and Benavidez fight.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, I like that fight, but I want to talk about Brendan Moore because I know that Lou's out in Florida, and I heard that he's familiar with the kid, so I just wanted to ask him what he thought about that real quick.
Yeah, he's a patient fighter, man. He's a gorilla in there, and if he puts his weight on Torres, because Torres, Torres is an active fighter. He's wild. He's wild. He's swinging and he's trying to tear your head off. And Moore is just more of a patient fighter. And if he sticks that jab, he's a bigger dude. He's taller. He sticks that jab out there. He creates that distance. I don't think Torres stands a chance with that. I don't think so.
Where does Brendan Moore train at? Do you know for sure? Do you know offhand?
He trains at Winter Haven.
Winter
Haven Park.
Yeah.
Oh, you're familiar with him too?
Yeah, I've been in the gym with him plenty of times, man. The home gym where I'm from, the gym that I used to train out in Florida, we used to go over there for sparring all the time. My man Mike P, the one I tell you about, Danny, he used to get a lot of good work with him. As a 68 pounder, he used to step in there with him. Around that time in that area, it was really hard to find work. So he was definitely one person that got a lot of rounds with him. I've definitely I would say I seen him coming up on the rise. I haven't really seen too much of him lately. But man, that dude Richard Torres, he's a bull, bro. He's a bull. So it's like, I want to go with the home team and say Brendan Moore. Danny, I even spoke highly of him when he first got signed at Top Rank. I seen he was out in Vegas, and I made it known that I definitely know who that is. But like I said, Richard Torres, he's just a bull, man, and I think he's like a new day and age Mike Tyson. And from what I remember, Brendan Moore, he can be a little sloppy sometimes. He does have a long jab. He does know how to keep his opponent at bay. I do give him that. But like I said, he's just a little bit sloppy. And I think if Richard Torres, uses that peekaboo style that he has, and he finds a way to come in, man, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna sit here and say to you that Brendan Moore has like the greatest defense there is. He does get hit. So, but I haven't seen someone that I can honestly say that could sit there and take what Richard Torres has to ditch. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it'll be an interesting fight, man. I hope they didn't sign my boy to set him up. I think it's kind of early for him to be in there with a guy like Richard Torres. But we'll see, man. Let the best man win.
Well, like Sakura says, it makes for a really good fight. It'll be really exciting. So I'm excited to see that. I wanted to ask Danny, what do you think about Bob Arum the other day? I'm going to switch subjects real quick, and I'm going to get Ray back in this in a few seconds. But Bob Arum, he's been in the game for 50, 60 years or whatever it's been. He said the best fighter pound for pound he's ever seen is Inoue. What do you think about that? They call him the monster. What are your thoughts on Bob Arum saying that? And what are your thoughts on that fighter as well?
I think I've heard Bob say that about Vasil Lomachenko.
Yeah.
I think I've heard Bob say that about Tyson Fury. Yo, let's see what he says. He's in Saudi this week for the Fury and Usyk fight. Let's see what Bob has to say about Fury when it's over. Look, I think Inoue is a monster. I think that there's some exciting fights for him. I think that he
got put on his ass last week, and he came back and did his thing, which shows his grit and shows his thing,
Look, I'm not gonna say X, Y, and Z. I think there's possibility there for other talents. I'm a big Jesse Bam Rodriguez guy. I think he's a guy that uses angles beautifully. A guy that doesn't fight like your typical Mexican. A guy that, similar to Boots, is able to throw a lot of shots from places you necessarily don't see coming. you know, I've thrown it out there, and I don't think it'd be anytime soon. But in a way, isn't the oldest guy in the world? You know, I think you know, maybe in 2 years we could see those two step in the ring, whether it be 22 or 26. I think that you know, they would make for, you know, a phenomenal fight. You know, I think he's a great talent, and you know, just at this.
Danny, you can hear
We
You
him? Or no?
lost.
Yeah, I lost him for a second. You there? Well, real quick, guys. Ray, what do you think about all these fights, man? I want to talk to Ray about this here. Ray, I got a question for you. When we get Daniel back in, we'll ask him this. I just saw something. Um, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is going to be fighting Darren Till on July 20th on a Netflix card. How excited are you guys about this, man? I want to get back to my man up there. If I can you hear us? I don't know if Daniel can hear us. What do you think about this fight? Julio Cesar Chavez. He's had his little run of some difficulty lately. He's had some runs with his father, some situation with his dad. He's back on the horse again. He's fighting this guy, Darren Till. Any thoughts on that, Ray? And I want to go down. I want to first go with Ray, then we'll go with Lou, then we finish up with Taino. What are your thoughts on this, Ray?
First, I want to thank Danny for coming on, podcast guy. It's the first podcast guy we had on here.
For
Salute
sure.
to him. A lot of these podcast guys, they don't like to come on for no, I don't know for what reason it is, but salute to him for coming on. As far as Chavez Jr., I think he's garbage. I never liked him, never thought he had anything. I think he's a mighty out. He don't listen to his father, and he's probably fighting a bum right now just to try to build him back up again.
I don't know this guy Darren Till, man. I think I've seen him fight before. He's a scrappy dude, you know. If I remember correctly, but you know, it's a shame, man, because I remember when I was coming up, and I remember seeing this kid on his pop's shoulders during the fights when his father was doing his thing back in the day, and you know, the kid that does have talent. You know what I mean? It's just like for some reason, to me, he doesn't have his head on right, man. You know, I don't know what it is. This kid has, to me, I've seen him. He has a lot of talent. He grew up in the game, so he's got to know a little bit something, you know. But he doesn't have his head on right. And according to Sakura, this guy Henry Till, Darren Till, that's why I think I saw him. I saw him fight somewhere. He was a former UFC fighter, so yeah, maybe he's going another route there. Who knows? Maybe he's going boxing against UFC or Ultimate Fighting. What do you think about that, Lou? What do you think about Chavez Jr. coming back after some time off and fighting his UFC Ultimate Fighter guy, Darren Till?
I tell you this much, man. How many fighters you see shadow their father, come behind their father, and don't do very well? Some of them do okay, but they don't do what they fathers did. You know, that's a hard thing to try to come and prove yourself to make yourself just as great as your dad was. You know, and that's a lot of pressure for him, and that's the reason why he's not just listening to his father. You know, he's like, Dad, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna find my own path. And you know, and sometimes people, you know, they just, you know, a hard head makes a soft ass, and he might learn that on this fight. Even though this dude is coming from what, UFC, you said?
Yeah, I mean, but what's he
He
gonna
might
learn?
be-
He's in his 30s. You know, he's been in done it. He's got like about 50 fights or something. I don't know. He's been around the block. You know, it's a sad story because I read a lot, you know, and as I gotten old, I've become a bookworm, right? And I read a lot of stuff, and you read all these things about all this negative stuff that goes on with his dad. Now, I don't know what his dad is like. Maybe his dad is an asshole personally to him. Who knows? But the reality of it is that it's a shame that the apple fell away so far away from the tree because the insults that he gives to his dad and his potential. Because look, at the end of the day, his frame has been different. He's built differently than his father. He's bigger. He's taller. You know, all this other stuff. He has all the advantages and the advantage of having a dad who knows the game and could support him the way he needed to be supported. He should have been better. You know, look at Floyd. Floyd didn't have that support system from his pops per se that I'm aware of, but he had a great uncle and Roger and his uncles, you know, he came from a boxing legacy and he took it to a whole other level. So yeah, sometimes they measure up and sometimes they surpass them and sometimes they don't live up to they don't measure up to their heritage, their lineage. You know what I mean? Now that we got Danny back on, I want to ask him look, we you know, it may be a moot situation, but what are your thoughts on Julio Cesar Chavez coming back against his UFC kid Darren Till?
Shit, man. Hopefully he don't lose, but I think it's good that I just saw an interview he did. He did about an hour-long interview about a week ago. And you know, he seems to be healthy. So, you know, I think according to him, boxing is what keeps him the happiest and what keeps him at you know, his best. So hopefully that's the case and hopefully you know, makes out for an exciting fight July 20th. I wasn't expecting, you know, the strongest undercard. So I mean, they're giving us an undisputed fight, two prospects, and then this crossover fight. So I'm not too mad at it, but I also don't have the highest expectations for it, you know.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, and I want everybody in the panel to talk about this. I really do like what's going on with boxing when it comes to evolution. No one could ever avoid it, right? You know, things evolve. So we went from HBO to Showtime, you know, ESPN. I mean, I remember back in the day before Taino and everybody was probably born, besides Ray, when we used to watch fights on CBS and NBC, or excuse me, ABC Saturday night fights or Saturday afternoon fights. You remember that, Ray?
CBS.
CBS. Yeah, I remember it was one of those channels, but I remember watching. You know, and then it went to HBO's and you know, there was a channel
That's
called
when you had your WHT box, the little cable box.
There was a channel, there was a thing before HBO, there was WHT. Yeah. You know, and you know, so now we're on Netflix, right? So, you know, everything evolves. So boxing was so mainstream. I remember they used to say back in the 80s that kickboxing was going to take over boxing. So, you know, and something that I want to bring up to off subject, about 1998, a gentleman named Chris Hickman came up to me and my manager back in the day named Vernon Ansell, Rusty Ansell, and he said, "Hey man, listen." He used to work out at my gym. I used to have a gym over there in Ocala, Florida, and he's like, "Yo, this is company going bankrupt. It's going bankrupt. We can get it for $5 million." And my manager, he had $5 million. He had, you know, he had that was petty cash then back then, right? So he goes and says, "We can get this thing. It's called the UFC." No lie, true story. He says, "Man," so the mistake he made was there was another individual in the room. He said, "It's gonna take over boxing." So when he said over that, the person was in the room, but it was like, "Yo, don't listen to this guy. This guy's gonna take your $5 million and you're never gonna see him again." And like a year or two later, or whatever it was at that time, Dana White and a bunch of his crew came in and got over the company, you know? So my moral of the story is that everything evolves, you know, boxing evolved into kickboxing or whatever, or whatever the case may be, then evolved into UFC and you got Ultimate Fighting and you got all these sponsors and all these things like that. But the reality of it is that when you think about all these things, guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, look at Enos Boots. I mean, the guy punches good from both hands. Everything evolves. These kids, Julio Cesar Chavez should have been better than his dad because he had the foundation already set for him. His father was a first-generation boxer. The second generation should always be better than the first, supposedly, right? So, you know, when I look at these things, to me, it's kind of tragic. Floyd took it to a whole other level. So you can see there's both sides to this. What are your thoughts? Well, I'm getting into that. You spoke about it, but I want to talk to you more about it a little bit, Danny. What do you think about that? Like, do you think it's a letdown that, you know, look, at the end of the day, he does have some mental health issues, and I've dealt with that, and I'm a part of a group when it comes to that. He's done with a lot of trials and tribulations and things like that. But I'm not really excited about the fight, especially when he's fighting a guy who's not really familiarized with boxing.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's one of those situations. Like, I don't know that we're supposed to necessarily be excited. Obviously, he, like many others, haven't lived up to the expectations. I think, if we're being honest, though, he's probably done better than most sons. You know, most sons never go on to be world champions. You know, I mean, I could sit here all day and give you juniors that never went on to, be a world champion, let alone reach the levels their father did. You know, you mentioned Floyd, who arguably greatest ever, or at least in the discussion of, obviously an anomaly in the sport. But when you talk about the evolution, I think a big thing with this sport is that uh, what big problem it had wasn't so much the UFC. It was that you guys mentioned, the accessibility back in the day. You know, I had an old head put me on the fights, and Monday nights you used to get free fights. Back in the day, and it was sponsored by like Gillette, the razor, like Pass Blue PBR, the Pass Blue
The beard, the
ribbon, the
beard.
beard. Yeah, yeah. So it's like, yo, it used to be fights on free TV Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and then you got fights on some Saturdays.
I
You know what
remember
I'm saying?
Tuesday night fights on USA Network. Remember
They
that?
used to so you know I think a problem was that they took this sport that at that time was man, probably top 3, top 5 sport in this country, in the 80s, and they put it on premium network, right? They put it on a premium network that at that time was only available in maybe 3%, 5% of households. So, you take it, it's like taking the NFL, you know, all at once. They're starting to do it gradually, but all at once off of free TV, off of CBS, Fox, NBC, and they put it on an app or a network, a platform that's only available to 3%, 4% of households. Like, that's insane, and that's what they did. And maybe in the moment they were looking at the money, but then there was pay-per-view, so it's like, well, fuck, that's available to maybe now less than 1% of people,
It
right?
was short
So
sighted. It was short sighted.
Man, they made it so difficult to access, and I think that hurt the sport a lot. I think that hurt the sport a lot. There's this interview, uh, this individual Nick Khan did. Nick is, I think, right now the president or the CEO of the WWE. He used to work for a sports agency. Um, he has a vast knowledge and experience in the sport of boxing. Um, he is the reason Top Rank is being shown on ESPN today. He
Wow.
did an interview maybe like 10 years ago, and he said that sometime in the 90s, I forget the year, he stated it, but he said he knew boxing was in trouble because of this very thing, that they made it, accessible to such a small percentage of people, and that there was no way for the sport to thrive, and that he knew that it was only a matter of time before there was a decline. And we really felt it, and we really saw it. um I think now we're you know a positive swing of things. Amazon Prime is in about 180 million homes in the US. Netflix is, I think, about 200 million plus worldwide. And it's just the times we're living in now.
Yeah.
Everything, all of this is available on your television at a touch of a button. I mean, some TVs uh, have, most of them have Netflix and Amazon Prime and these apps already built in.
Yeah.
Um,
More TVs.
some you have to download, but most of them they're already built in. Some TVs you got the Netflix button on your remote.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So
I've been
so
saying this, Danny. I've been saying this for a while. I've been telling y'all. I don't know why y'all focus on who's winning in the Jake Paul and Tyson fight. I ain't worrying about who's winning. I'm just interested in seeing what Netflix is doing for boxing.
Yo, let me tell you.
It's a great
Let me
thing.
tell you. I was at the first ever. I was at the first ever Netflix live stream sporting event. Took place in November. The first two that they've had have took place here in Vegas. Jake will be the third one. I was at the first ever one. You know, had to connect, got an invite, and it was a golf. It was a golf tournament, if you will. Yo, that was, you know, not just was it a star-studded thing, but it was something. It was a party, you know, for everybody that was there. It was a, you know, it was literally a movie, like what you would expect from Netflix. You know, it was a lot of fan interactive. You know, just top level food and drinks and music and games
First
and just
class.
so many different things that, as somebody who doesn't watch golf the most necessarily, I enjoyed it. So I just think of what they can do at AT&T Stadium, a stadium I've seen boxing fights in. You know, a stadium that will probably have uh, you know, over 90,000, close to 100,000 people on the night. You know, I think it's gonna be interesting to see what Netflix puts together, and obviously they saw something in Jake for them to approach him with the budget and pretty much tell him entertain us.
Listen, you know, we got CJ Hooker who chimes in from once in a while. He says, "What's up, fam? How he remembers Worldwide the Sports." And I think it was on ABC when they used to show the fights on Saturday afternoons. He said we should go back to those days. You know, see, Sakura says facts, you know, which you were just saying a few minutes ago. He said back in those days, you got to witness the greatness of guys like Salvador Sanchez and things like that. They were special. Sanchez had 10 title defenses and two in a half year before his tragic death in 1982. And like I said, I'm an old head. You know, I'm 52 years old. I remember watching fights on Saturday afternoons. You know, I used to watch my back in the day. It was called WWF, right? And I was WWE, and I used to watch the boxing because I've always been in love with boxing, right? And I like what Netflix is doing. I think that, like you said, you know, the numbers, it means worldwide. I live in Colombia, you know, and my smart TV has Netflix, and I
It's
watch my, you know,
free.
yeah, exactly, you know, it's
I
a
mean,
crazy thing. Like I said, when people start talking about the polls and stuff, I really admire them. I reached out to one of their coaches. His name is Milton, and spoke to him a little bit about a few things because you may not be aware of this. Ray knows this, but I used to train in Catskills. Kevin Rooney was my trainer for about 4 or 5 years, you know, and I'm very familiar with the whole custom model style of boxing. You know, I fought up there as an amateur in my first couple of fights as a pro. You know, and I communicate with Milton. Milton works for the Logan brothers, you know, and I'm not trying to drop names, but you know, I reached out to him like, yo, my brother, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, what we spoke about. But I'm really happy, you know, I don't want to see boxing, you know, fade away. I think that the cable network saw something happening, and streamers taking over. You know, cable's kind of like an antiquated thing. Just like when I grew up, there was 13 channels on TV. We had the knob. You know, I was the remote control in the house. My mom's like, go change the channel, you know. And then it went to cable television, and now it's streaming. That's just the way of the world, right? But I'm you know, I dare to say this, man. I'm kind of like excited about that show. You know, at the end of the day, I used to idolize and I admire him. I don't idolize anymore, but I admire him because I don't know how many times this dude has had to reinvent himself. Mike Tyson, you know, get that bag, man. You know, why not? If you're 60 years old and you can get that kind of money, doing whatever you do, wearing 20-ounce gloves or whatever it is, man, go for it. Hello, Dalia. Hello, she says, hello, boxing family. Dalia Duran, Roberto Duran's daughter, Mara de Pia de la daughter. Dalia is our Spanish interpreter for Boxing Playhouse. That's our girl. And LD Dub or L Dub Boxing says, what's good? What's up, my brother? Yeah, listen, anybody want to have some questions for him, man? You know, we're going to be running out of time pretty soon. I don't want to dominate the show. Go ahead, go for yours.
Hey, Danny, what's up, Dan?
What's going on with you?
How you got that name, Danny Ringwald?
He said,
Ringwalk just came from me covering the fights and everything I was doing. I was big on getting a lot of behind the scenes footage. I was fortunate to develop a relationship early on with a lot of young talent and a lot of talent that a lot of media didn't have access to. So just having those relationships and getting that footage, behind the scenes,
But
to
who
in the
gave you that
ring,
name? You gave
everything
yourself
is.
that
Yeah, I baptized myself with that. That was that
name? Okay.
I baptized myself with that because that was my vision. I wanted to give people like a ring walk experience in the sense of like everything that went into the fight, leading up to the fight, fight week, fight night. So that was my vision, at least in the beginning. I've definitely expanded, but yeah,
It
that
got a
was the
ring to
vision.
it. It's got a
That was
ring to it, man. It's got a ring to it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and it's kind of stuck, and my work has spoke. I've been able to do a lot with it, so I felt like it was a fitting name.
many blessings to you, my brother. Listen, real quick, I gotta go. I got a little note here from my boss, from the powers that be. Listen, we're gonna end this show with this. I want some predictions, and I don't care. I don't want to predict. I want a prediction. We got two things. We got Lou Dub. Oh man, we got Christopher Young. I gotta say what's up. It started with the basics, the Olympics. We follow boxers, Leonard Durant. Yeah, you're right. Back in the day, they show those fights on TV and the pro fights. Yeah, you're right, Mr. Young. Real quick, Lou Dub says, L Dub says, anybody have an update on Alicia Baumgardner, the Pearson fight? Do you know when that fight's
Yeah,
gonna happen?
yeah, that'll be this summer, late this summer, either late July, early August. We're just getting final details worked out. But Alicia's been in the gym, and that fight will take place this summer for sure.
Okay, so I already got a prediction here, and I was asked this, and we're gonna end the show with this after this. Usyk Fury, who do you got? Why and how? Real
I
quick,
got
we're gonna wait. I want to leave you for
o-
last. Lou, go be
okay.
yours.
I think Tyson Fury is gonna do the same thing he did to Deontay. He's gonna put his weight on him. You seen the face off, and that dude is massive compared to what Usyk is. Usyk, he's a very skillful fighter, and he's better be on his feet, moving. He better not let him lean on him. If he leans on him, he puts that weight, he's gonna gas him out. It's over.
So you got it by decision or knockout?
I would say probably it's probably going to be a knockout, most likely. If he gets him tired,
So we
Tyson
got
Fury, he's gonna knock him out.
one Fury. Ray,
I never
KO.
liked Fury. I never liked Fury. I thought he was a dirty fighter. Hope he's not still one. And if he starts pushing him down, I would tell this guy Usyk just go to the body. Every time he goes to push him down, like Joe Frazier, go to the body at the same time. When you feel that pressure coming down, right on time with the power. You push me down, I'm going to the body.
So you
Hopefully
going
they do.
Usyk? You going Usyk?
Yeah, man, I want Usyk to drill that body and get him out of there with it.
1-on-1. Taino, Usyk Fury.
Yeah, I gotta agree with my dad. I'm going with Usyk, man. The southpaw perspective.
All right.
I
You going
think.
for skill instead of will.
Well, it's not even about skill. I think it's just about common sense. What's going to happen is I think Tyson Fury's relying on his weight. He's probably going to try to turn it into a bar fight, but Usyk is not a guy who's going to stand right there in front of you. He's going to be hard to find. He's going to use his lateral movement, his feet. I think he's a bigger size, homo of Lomachenko, but just better.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we got two Usyk, one Fury, and then I hope we get Daniel back. I got another for Usyk. I got CJ Hooker. He says I'm picking Usyk. He if he doesn't let Fury lean on him like you guys spoke about a few seconds ago, he gets inside counters, he'll win the fight. You know what, man? I've always been the little guy. I'm the big guy the most, but I've always been the little guy in my weight class. I've always been the shortest, whatever the case may be. Well, we got Daniel back. Dan, who you got? Usyk or Fury, and how?
Man, I got the Gypsy King.
Okay, so that's
Gypsy
2 to
King,
3.
man.
That's 2 to 3.
Let me tell you, the Gypsy King made me a believer a long time ago. I was fortunate to watch him in camp for the third Wilder fight. Saw him spar nearly 100 rounds with Jared Anderson. I think when it comes to Fury, when he wants to be, I feel like he's one of the hardest working fighters in this sport. I think he's one of the most talented fighters in this sport, especially for his weight class. Um, I think that I do think it goes decision though. I know this is the heavyweight division. Anything can happen. I got it going all 12 rounds. I got
Okay,
Fury decision.
so we got
I do see a knockdown or two. And
Sway.
all right. So listen, we got 3 Usyk, we got 2 Fury, and then Sakura just broke the tie. Just made it a tie. So we got 3 Fury, and he said no way he's gonna look as bad as he did against Ngannou. Yeah, I think he took him or whatever. He didn't train for that.
D, hold on. Which way you said 2 knockdowns? Who's getting knocked down, Danny?
so it's funny. I was gonna say, don't be surprised if both hit the canvas.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Don't be surprised if both hit the canvas. I could see Fury hitting the canvas and still winning by decision as well.
Well, he's already got up the canvas or damn near death, and he came up and did what he did. But so listen, I was saying this before we got your prediction, but I always like the little guy, right? And even though I think that's a lot of meat to be pushing around, Tyson Fury is a big man. You can't deny that. He does have boxing ability. He does have power, and he's not. He's sharp as hell when it comes to boxing.
He's a freak of nature.
You're right, and that's true. But because I've always been the little guy as a fighter, and I'm gonna go with Usyk just because of that, not because of skill, not because of reach, not because of height, because I always go with the little guy, and that's just where my heart is at, and that's what I go. Danny versus Goliath back in the day. Yeah, that was always me. I was always a midget. I need like a ladder to fight these bastards,
If I'm being honest, I think this is a 55-45 fight. Very close fight. Two of the top 10 fighters in the world. Not just in their division, in the world. I believe that right now. So I'm excited, looking forward to it. It should be highly skillful, highly entertaining. And I'm riding with the Gypsy King.
All right, my brother. Well, listen, guys, thank you for being on the show this week. We went over a little bit of time, but I want to thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Many blessings to you and your show, Boxing Voice. Out in Vegas, when I'm out there pretty soon, I want to link up with you and Taino. Maybe we'll go grab some lunch or something on my dollar. And I want to thank my co-host, Lou. Always a pleasure to have you on. Ray, the maestro, the teacher, Spanish Harlem. Minerva's only son. Rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? Last week we had his son out here. He has a very talented family. Taino, I look forward to seeing you in the ring very soon. I want to thank Security echoes my sentiments. Thanks to Ringwalk Danny. Appreciate you showing us some love. Thank you very much. Support his show, Boxing Voice. Danny the Ringwalk, man.
Come back.
Yeah, we got to collab again. Many blessings to you guys.
Hey, listen, a RIP to the British fighter that just passed away. You don't play boxing.
Rest in peace.
We don't play boxing, man.
Nah,
Danny experienced it firsthand in Africa. You don't play boxing, man. RIP.
Yes, all right, man. Many blessings, guys. Boxing players, we out. Peace.
Appreciate y'all.
Dímelo, muñeco.
I'm very surgical, physical when I'm lyrical. So bat it down with medical, something critical. It's gonna take a miracle. Bright lights, something spiritual. Written down like biblical. I finally reached the pinnacle. Yeah. Welcome to the house. The one they talking about. Word of mouth.